here in Washington. Another big issue in the new year. One of the big fights, first big fights between Republicans and Democrats in the next Congress, going to be over what to do with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The Obama administration set to release its plan for overhauling the government-sponsored mortgage finance giants in January. Chuck Gabriel is president, co-founder of Capital Alpha Partners. He's followed every twist and turn in the GSE story. Thanks for joining us today, Chuck. And
thank you, Pete.
Everyone's looking forward to this report. What do you expect the administration is going to say here?
I think one of the big question marks, Peter, is just how narrow a footprint the administration is angling towards with regard to federal support for housing finance going forward. The industry has come up with somewhat of a consensus approach that they'd like to see us move away from an implicit government guarantee for Fannie and Freddie debt and securities and move towards an explicit guarantee just for mortgage-backed securities, so that we can, in the name of basically securing and a future for the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. And the administration's been somewhat supportive of that, but there's been really some concern the administration might come in and shock everybody with a really much more Spartan approach to a federal support going forward, and move sort of the whole
move closer to what Republicans have been talking about for a long time.
Move close to what Republicans are talking about, and moving away from the holy grail of home ownership and towards rental. And so there's going to be a really big focus on this. And as you're pointing out in your segment today, the fact that Republicans are backing off a bit from a fight that everybody had expected in the first quarter or so of this year is really a surprise.
Republicans for a long time talked about privatizing here, getting rid of Fannie and Freddie altogether. Have we reached the point where that's no longer on the table, or do you think that there will be an effort by Republicans in this next Congress to say, listen, let's cut the cord here?
Eventually, we'll have to do something with Fannie and Freddie, but what Republicans are basically acknowledging amid the pleas of mortgage bankers, the home builders, and all the folks in the housing sector, is that right now between Fannie, Freddie, and FHA, it's they represent about 90% of all purchase activity.
They're the only game in town.
Only game in town. And so we'd actually worried a bit that Republicans would come in and try to have inquisition-like hearings and blame the role of Fannie and Freddie much for the whole financial crisis, and blame Democrats for coddling Fannie and Freddie. And now the incoming chairman of the House Capital Markets Subcommittee has basically said, we're not really going to go that far in that direction of demanding that we pull the umbilical cord with Fannie and Freddie within 2 to 4 years, as is embodied in the Hinserling bill. That they are playing to an important role.
This is a proposal that's been out there for about 2 years.
It has been out there for some time. Again, we label everything between red stocks and blue stocks in an election cycle. We had actually had the whole mortgage-related stocks as purple, because we thought Republicans would come in a very, very delicate time still for the mortgage sector. We've seen the latest numbers, 3-4 months in a row of home price declines. We were concerned that the Republicans would come in and essentially be very focused in a negative political way, partisan political way, on Fannie and Freddie. They're signaling they're going to back away from that. So, again, the big game now is to wait and see what the administration is going to propose, and a lot of key sectors within the whole housing community really have a lot at stake, particularly the mortgage insurers.
And those folks are very active, lobbying already, reaching out to members of Congress, both parties, saying, listen, it's too fragile right now to do anything drastic. This is something that's going to be put off, a real decision, 2 years, 3 years, or do you think less?
Folks we talk to don't talk about the number of years. They talk about Congresses, measure in 2-year cycles, almost like dog years. So it could take 3 or 4 years for sure. But hopefully what the administration is going to put on the table will somewhat dilute the significance of that ultimate decision. I mean, it's just the real challenge of Fannie and Freddie is dealing with all the legacy issues. What do you do with existing preferred stockholders and debt holders? All those legacy issues. It's very hard to extricate the federal government.
And there's some effort, at least in the short term here, to consider maybe changing the conforming loan limit, if nothing else, reducing the size and scope of Fannie and Freddie's presence?
I think you hit the nail on the head. For those conservative Republicans who are not pleased by backing off in the first quarter, they're going to regroup by the third quarter, at which time the current just extended higher caps on conforming loan levels up to 729,000 in high-cost areas. Those expire September 30th, and I think the conservatives in the House are going to absolutely insist they not be extended, and you'll have a battle royale with the home builders, the mortgage bankers, and the realtors again, and that's when we'll have that battle we were all worried about in the first quarter, by the third quarter of next year.
All right, Chuck Gabriel with Capital Alpha Partners. I know you'll be following this. We will as well. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.